These are the must-have products for 2026. If you're getting into tech, if you are in tech, you're doing podcasting, you're doing anything tech, then you might want to check all this stuff out. It includes one item that's not even out yet that we're going to be talking about soon, and we're going to do that next on Geekazine. What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek. Now, all of these products right here have been given to me by the companies that they represent. There are a couple of these items that are sponsoring the video. And of course, all opinions are that of Geekazine. And you can find out all my review policies over at geekazine.com/review. If you'd like your product to be reviewed as well, you can go over there and hit the contact button and then send me an email. And of course, if you want to support the channel, all you have to do is go over to the Patreon over at patreon.com/Geekazine. Leave a one-time tip over at venmo.com/Geekazine, or buy some of the merch over at Amazon. Links are somewhere around here. So let's get into it right now. All right. We got a table full of stuff here, and we're going to get started by the one thing that actually saved me this last couple weeks. And that is this thing right here. This is the Kingston Renegade G5 SSD. This is running off of PCIe 5.0 technology. And of course, my computer can handle that. Well, here's the problem. When I got this, and the idea was to actually swap it out on my hard drive, show you how that process works by cloning the drive, or clean install or whatever. But guess what? The NVMe that was in my computer, which survived 2 or 3 computers already, had decided, okay, it's time. And one of the modules inside there stopped working. Therefore, I started getting all these blue screen of deaths. And I thought I could get it in time, but I couldn't. I still have access to the drive, so I've been pulling everything off of the drive like mad. And of course, I replaced it with this right here. Now, I do have another version of the Fury here, and that is right here. So basically, this is the drive you get. This is the 2 terabyte version. I've got in my computer now the 4 terabyte version. So it's a simple NVMe drive. It's running the PCIe 5 technology. So, and that is backwards compatible with PCIe 4.0. So if you've got a computer that's about, I'd say, a year to a year and a half old, you might be able to use this drive, but you definitely want to check with the manufacturer specs before you decide to purchase this for your computer. Simple as that. It's NVMe. You put it into your computer. You tie it down. So a lot of times it's just like with an enclosure. You'll put it in, there's a little screw on the side, and it ties down. And then of course you go from there. I have a couple different NVMe's inside of this computer. One is of course controlling the operating system, and then the other one is basic storage, all my video storage for the year, which then gets transferred to another computer and then backed up. All it's backed up properly as we go. So if that drive didn't work at all, I still had a backup of all the files, and I highly suggest you do that too. But now we're running a little bit better NVMe inside of the computer, and I'm actually noticing a difference. Now, the computer that I'm using is an Asus ProArt Z790, which I purchased a year ago when my other computer decided to not continue to compute. So, like I said, I was able to move the hard drive module. I had to get new memory for it, but now I've got the PCIe 5 M2 in there, which is, even though it's not working at a full PCIe 5.0 spec, it is of course backwards compatible a little bit. And when I get the next motherboard to replace this motherboard, which hopefully won't be anytime soon, I'll be able to use that M5 drive and get the even better speeds coming from there. What speeds, you ask, can you get with a PCIe 5.0? It really depends on the drive, but the Kingston Fury G5 can do 14,000 megabits per second read and write. So having that in a machine that can handle PCIe 5 and those lanes, you'll have a blazing fast PC. Since I'm using PCIe 4, I'm not going to get those speeds, but I'm getting some pretty decent speeds. How decent? Well, let's take a look. Look at that right there. I can't run the speed test while I'm recording, of course, because that kind of messes everything up. But we're getting a consistent 5,800 megabits per second on this machine alone. And that's pretty good. The other thing about this is about the tail of these speed tests. And that's where the real information comes in. Now, for instance, when I start a speed test, and let's say I do the 5 gigabytes worth of data transfer, you'll watch as the needle goes up to a certain point, and then all of a sudden starts to creep down. And this tells you a little bit about how the transfer is going to go when you start to transfer actual files. So it'll go up, and then if it stays on that point, then you've got consistent speed, and that's great. But if that needle starts to go down like that, that means that, of course, it's slowing down, and you want to get the speed from the actual endpoint, not at the beginning. That's 5,700 megabits per second. That's handled 5 gigabytes. Keep that in mind because, of course, they're not the one and the same. So as you can see, I've got some great transfer speed there. That means when it has to write to cache files, when it has to open up programs, when it has to deal with pushing data across wherever, it's going to be able to handle that. And once again, if I change the motherboard to something that could handle PCIe 5.0, that 5800 is definitely going to double, if not triple, get up to 14,000 megabits per second. And that's pretty decent for the G5 here. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any computers to really put this into to test that full number, but I've improved the performance just on this machine alone, simply by putting in something that's not going to create any type of bottlenecks. And that's what I love about it. Now, this one right here, the drive, the 2 terabyte drive, I've been taking in and out of these portable drives that I've been getting. And of course, we don't get a lot of the speed. We definitely can't get 14,000 megabits per second. A lot of the Thunderbolt 5 drives can't take this because it needs to be PCIe 4.0 technology or better. I did find one external drive that will take this NVMe right here, and that's this right here. This is the Qwiizlab 80 gigabit per second NVMe cacher external drive. Runs on Thunderbolt 5, can run on Thunderbolt 3, can run on USB 4, and a lot more. Couple different colors to it. You can get it in gray or you can get it in silver. We got the silver model, and it is a completely fanless enclosure that does that. You bring your own NVMe, whether it be the PCIe 5.0 or PCIe 4.0 or even a PCIe 3.0, and you can put that in there. And then when you're on your Mac, you can be working on your files. If you're on your PC and then it supports USB 4 or Thunderbolt 4, you'll be able to plug it in and use it that way. Many different ways to use this drive right here. I have it right here. I've been using it for a while now. And so what this is, it's really actually straightforward. It kind of looks like a very popular yet unpopular vehicle inside of the looks here, but it's, once again, it's fanless. It's got an aluminum enclosure. It uses USB-C or a Thunderbolt 5 cable, which comes with it, and that's pretty much it. So on the back, you have the cable connection. On the front here, you have a little light that'll give you some indication as to how it's working. It'll give you green light or white light, and so on and so forth. To use this drive is actually very straightforward. To add your NVMe, all you have to do is lift up the magnetic. It's part magnetic and part ball bearing on the side here, which I like because if this gets dropped, this cover is not going to pop off as easily, but you still have to worry about it because there are no screws at this point. Inside here, and we have a Samsung 9100, which is the drive that they did supply to me, and I do thank them for that. And this is a 2 terabyte model, but I can easily put the Fury in right there. So basically, you take out the screw, which is more of a thumb screw. I kind of like that because the screw, which is also a flathead, has a notch inside there to hold the NVMe, and then you can kind of use your finger and thumb to get it turned in, but you'll definitely want a screwdriver just to tighten it down just a little bit. You put the NVMe in through here, you put the screw in, and then of course you put the cover on. Before you put the cover on, you'll have to put on the thermal paste pad, which they do supply with you, and you'll be able to put that in easily. As you can see, on the other side of the thermal pad is a piece of copper, and then of course the aluminum casing, which is what's going to be your heat sink from there. Let's make sure I have it on the right way. There we go. All right. So as you can see, there it is. And of course, this sets like this. So that little slope is on the top here, and it's actually got a pretty cool design to it, although like I said, it does look like a certain vehicle we won't talk about too much. You throw in the Thunderbolt 5 cable in there, and then of course you can throw it into, we'll just throw it into this dock because it's plugged in. It will give us some sort of lights. There we go. We got a white light, which means that there's power going to it. If it was green, it means that it's actually, there's a connection there. And I've tested this on many different computers. My Mac Mini, which can do Thunderbolt 5. I've got my ZBook back there, that's Thunderbolt 3, and then of course I have my computer which is running Thunderbolt 4. All of them work there, plus I can plug this into USB, the front into the USB-C, and it still works. It doesn't work as fast as it does if I plug it into Thunderbolt 5, but I'll have some good numbers. With Thunderbolt 5, once again, we're seeing about 5 to 6 megabits per second in transfer speed, and that's well and good, but the ability to actually move this from one device to another is probably the one thing that I really love about it, because I don't work on just one computer. I have 6 different computers I work on in any given time. So to be able to transfer files using something like this is very important to me. And to have this where high-end speed NVMe drives live, that I can just move from computer to computer. It's not going to be the best speed on the slower ones, but at least I'll be able to copy the files, move them over without plugging them in and going, oh wait, it's not going to work on that one. And I've had these enclosures where some of them just don't work. And it's not great if you have to do things like I do, and that is work from computer to computer. Once again, this is the Qwiizlab 80 gigabit per second drive, and it's available for about $190. And oh yeah, even though I did get the Samsung drive, they sent me the Samsung drive, that doesn't normally come with an NVMe, so you're going to have to supply that on your own. Now, what I was throwing that enclosure on was this thing right here. This is from Ivanky. It's their FusionDock Pro 3 Thunderbolt 5 dock, and it can connect up to 11 items. It has 100 watt transfer power, so if you have a MacBook Air or you have a MacBook Pro, you'll be able to connect up and use this for power as well. And of course, it docks in with basically 11 connections, including 2.5 gigabit per second Ethernet, including USB-C, USB-A, and Thunderbolt drives, and it also has a lock. In fact, it's sitting right here. It's plugged into the computer. Let's just unplug it for now. Let's take a look at the dock really quick. You have the front and you have the back, or maybe this is the front for you. It really doesn't matter how you have it set up, because there's going to be device things to plug in on each side. We're going to start on the far right. On this side, we have the DC in, which of course it needs. We have two 15-watt Thunderbolt drives, so you can put in something like that enclosure, or you can put in other devices. We have the 2.5 gigabit per second Ethernet, which I technically don't need on my Mac Mini because I got the 10 gig port. But if you only got the 1 gig port and you have Thunderbolt 5 in there, you could actually use this, and that would be an upgrade. Or you could double up on your Ethernet if you've got 2 VLANs like I run in my network. USB-A drives, 2 at 10 gigabit per second and 1 at 5 gigabit per second. Nothing on this side, but on this side we have the Kensington lock bay, so you can tie this down so it doesn't go walking off. And then let's move over to this side. Nothing on the top or the bottom, by the way, but let's move over to this side. We have the power button, which I'm not really a fan of power buttons on docks, but apparently they're there. We've got some indicator lights that tells you if the unit is on or if it's connected up to the computer. We have the host computer right here, and this is at 140 watts. So once again, yeah, I actually use my HP ZBook, and that's takes a lot of power. And I plug this in without worry because I know that it's going to keep that battery charged for the most part. If I need my Thunderbolt 3 port, then I end up using their plug. But if I don't have that close by, this is perfect for that. And then we have a 60 watt Thunderbolt. So if you've got like a MacBook Air or something like that, that plugs into this perfect and you won't have to worry about it. We have a USB 10 gig USB-A right here. We have an SD card, no micro SD card. You'll have to get an adapter, not a big deal. And of course we have the TRRS headset port. So you can put in a regular set of headphones or you can put one with a microphone, do your Zoom calls or whatever you need from there. That's the device. It's actually pretty slim, sits on your desk just like that. And like I said, it really depends on which way you want to have it set up. I'll have it set up like this, monitor right here, and of course looking at me because the plug will be in back. You probably put in a keyboard, a mouse right here, maybe a capture card here, or other devices, a printer or whatnot, and then of course have that on your desktop. As you can see, there are no HDMI ports or video ports or anything like that, but you can plug in this to a portable monitor or a USB-C monitor and it works without a problem. Of course, it depends on what you have connected up to your computer already. If you have multiple monitors set up, then it might not work, but just keep that in mind. So that is the Ivanky FusionDock Pro 3 11-in-1 dock for your Thunderbolt 5, your Mac Mini, or your PC or whatever. And of course, it'll connect up whatever you need to your computer. It is a $300 device, but of course, then you don't have to unplug everything and then plug everything back in when you're leaving for the day. Let's talk about one of the products that's actually sponsoring this video, and that is a product that's not out yet. It's got a Kickstarter, and you need to get on this because this is a pretty decent charging unit that you can use for a lot of different situations. This is called the Joyroom Podix. And this is the box right here. Basically, this is a multiple device charger that can charge up to 140 watts, your iPad, your phone, your MacBook Air, whatever. So if you have this set up at your office, if you have this set up in your living room or anything like that, you have the ability to keep your devices charged up, ready to go for when you go out the door. Let's take a look at it really quick. Here it is right here. It's very cube-like. It's very small, so it can fit on a corner of a desk without a problem. It has a really awesome interface here, which I'm going to show you in a second. But the one thing that I really like about this is up on top here, there are two USB-C cords that are on retractable lines. Now, if you're using your iPad, this probably isn't the best cord to use it because it's kind of stiff and it only goes out about maybe 3 feet at the most, but it does have the retractableness to it. If I wanted to take my phone and plug it in, all I had to do is retract it out and then of course plug it in. And boom, look at that. It is charging. So I can then set this to the side. The other thing I like about this is I was charging a set of headphones and I pulled out this thing right here and then I plugged it in and it's set on the desk. It's not a problem, but watch this. If I retract it, it sets it like this. And of course it charges that up. Now you're noticing right here, there's a little screen right here that's telling you lots of information. Let's go ahead and unplug this so you can see that. So, and of course it turns off. We got a little happy face here that tells you the status. But if you hit this button right here, it's also going to tell you which USB is charging what device. So in this case, we've got 8 watts that are charging my phone. If I plug that headset back in, it's telling me that that's 3 watt charge. And of course it goes up to 140 watts. So once again, if you plug in your laptop, you plug in your iPad, you plug in your phone, you plug in your, your AirPods, you plug in your watch, then that's all going to be collective up to 140 watts. And of course, it's got all the specs on the side of the box that tells you what you can plug in. This is a GAN device, so it is high speed. So like for instance, if you need a device that does 5 watts, 3 amps, This will do it without a problem. Usually a video camera will do 5 watts, 3 amps. And so you'll be able to plug this in and get the charge you need. So I could actually have this sitting on my production desk and keeping cameras charged. So when I need to grab a camera to go, I can do that to be charged within only a couple hours. And then of course, once it's all done, all I have to do is unplug it, retract the cable, and then I'm good to go. We got the other 2 USB-A's and 1 USB-C. The USB-A's are at 30 watts, and then the USB-C is at 140 watts. If you did have a higher end computer that does USB-C charging, then you can plug this up to this, but it will take up the 140 watts if needed. And that means if you're also charging a phone and a tablet, these won't get too much power to it because the max is 140. But if you have a MacBook Air, which is about 65 watts, it'll charge that without a problem and still charge your tablet and your phone. So once again, this is the Podix charger. It is not out yet. It is on Kickstarter. And of course, here's the Kickstarter page for it. It's going to be launching soon, so you have to sign up now. You'll get a 45% at launch. And of course, I'll have a link down in the show notes that you can go to. And of course, it supports the channel. Next up is a company called Lumary, and they sent me this indoor rope light. This is a 16.4 foot rope light. They have a 9.8 and a 16.4. They have outdoor rope lights, which go up to 32 feet that you can string around your house. But this is meant for indoor. It is an RGB IC light, which independent control for each segment, but there's going to be segments where the color will go. So you could have first segment would be blue, second segment would be red, third segment would be yellow, and then eventually it would go through that same pattern again. But you'll be able to sculpt this to whatever you want, and that's what this is meant for, is to actually sculpt some really cool things. You could definitely run it along the edges of the room or anything like that, but if you want to make some cool designs, that's where this will really shine. Ultimately, it's 180 LEDs per meter, and of course it's within a rope light as opposed to regular LED lighting, which kind of looked a little segmented. This one with this gives it a diffusion, so you kind of don't see the lights as you go. Now, I really wanted to do something in the studio here, and I tried and I couldn't get something. The idea was I was going to go through the little slats on the backboard here, but that didn't work as well as I wanted it to. So I've been really trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. And of course, I have my music room, which I'll probably end up putting all this light upstairs to really just kind of accentuate my show. It's all app controlled through, of course, the Lumary app, and you can set this up. Let's go ahead and set this down, and we're going to plug this in to show you. It's going to get a little bright in here, but we'll definitely show you how this all works. Before I plug this in, another cool thing about this is how this part is all set up. Let me show you this really quick. So basically, you have your plug, which is a regular stock wall plug, and then of course you have the Lumary button, the on-off button, which will also change colors and things like that. But it's all detachable. From here it detaches here, and from here it detaches by basically taking off the cap and pulling this out. You can get extension cables for here. So if your plug is in an odd spot and you just want to run this type of cable up the wall before you get to this type of lighting, you can definitely do that. Pulled down the shutter and the iris, so it's pretty low. You can actually now see, with the naked eye, I see nothing but solid light, but you're seeing a little bit of where the LEDs are sitting. So we have the app in here, which I'll go ahead and pull it up. It's going to take a second. And then I have my control. So if I want, this is all red right now. If I want it all green or yellow, then, oh, this is yellow. If I want it all yellow, if I want it all green, if I want it all blue, I know you'll see slightly different colors. I can change the brightness of that. I can change the color from here. I can go just white, color temperature white, from indoor versus outdoor color temperature in the Kelvin mode. And of course, I can also set it up for music. So when I talk, as you can see, it is doing something there. We can set up scenes, like for instance, this is Glacier Express right here. We got the grassland scene. We've got the late automation, just like a lot of these other types of lighting systems. And of course, we can segment that. So we'll add another color here. Let's add green. And then let's add, let's say custom one. So now you'll see this is yellow, this is green. I probably should have done different colors, and it's moving around. So now this is yellow, this is green. So you can have it go fast, you can have it go slow if you wanted to. So you can definitely set up whatever type of lighting situation you're looking for in Rope Light. And like I said, this is 16.4, so it'll probably do about half the room. And then if you get a second one, you can do the other half of the room. It comes in 9.8 and 16.4. The outdoor versions go up to 32 feet. So, and of course, those are probably going to cost a little bit more from there. You can also set it up for your personal assistants. Your Alexa or your Google will control this. So I can say, hey, make it movie night. And you have some sort of setting to make it so you can watch movies in the room or anything like that. It's $89 and you can get it now. Next up, we've got an Android 12 box here for your TV box. It's called, and I kid you not, the Dingbox D2. This is it right here. It looks like similar to other Android TVs that we've had come through here, and no different. It's run off of the Android 12 operating system. The one thing about this that makes it better from the Dingbox D1 is the recording time. You can record for with a 7-day shift, which means that if you record a show, you have 7 days to watch it before it disappears. Whereas the Dingbox D1 only had 8 hours before it would disappear from there. So it's also got upgraded voice commands. It's also got Wi-Fi 6 support. It's got parental control features, 2T, 2R, 2 transmitters, 2 receivers, basically. Antenna at 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, and 4 gigabytes of DDR3 memory, 64 gigabytes of eMMC internal storage, and it supports 6K at 60 frames per second. Now on the back here, we can see we have our SPDIF port, our digital port basically. We've got 1 gig Ethernet here, HD port. We've got our AV, basically headphones or speaker or whatever. We got an infrared plug here, so if you need to stretch out your infrared for the remote, it can do that. And of course, USB-C for the power. I'm going to be plugging into the Joyroom here through the extension cable. Let's do that. Before we finish up, of course, on the side here, we have a USB-A and a USB-C for any type of thumb drive or anything like that to plug into, and then a TF card for, of course, a storage. Restore button right here. We have nothing on the other side, but there are vents. You can see the vents and the vents on the bottom there. So let's go ahead and grab the HDMI cable. And we're going to go plug it in, and we're going to take a look on the big TV here. Now, powering it up, it's just taking about 2 watts right now. So I'd say about 2 to 3 watts. As we open it up, you can see it's a standard Android TV interface right here. They do have a couple apps that you can load, and basically what you do, you can take the remote and you go over to the browser, and then, of course, open that up. It will have the apps that they have that you can then download and install. You can also plug into things like Google Play or anything like that and download your Hulu, download your Netflix, download all the other stuff. But they do have an app store with a bunch of other apps in it that you can download and install. This is the app right here for called Sun TV. Now, a couple things that you always have to be concerned about. It is running Android 12, and it does have the security update from 2021. And I know that there's Android boxes out there that are running Android 13 or 14 with a more updated security profile. So you just basically go here, Then you go into your settings, device preferences, about, and that tells you everything from here. It's showing that I have 64 gigabytes of flash memory. There's 4 gigabytes of RAM, as I said. It's running Big Droid OS 2.0.1. And of course, the security patch is October 5th of 2021. So keep that in mind. You should be able to run your Netflix, run your, well, not Hulu anymore since that's going away, Disney Plus, HBO Max, without too much issue there. Make sure that if you are getting the apps on here, go to the Play Store rather than a third-party app system or APK system. But the one cool thing about this is you can sideload apps, and you can bring in other apps as well. If you're testing apps, if you are creating apps for the Android box, this is perfect for that because you can load those in, test them, and then make your adjustments. And of course, you don't have to play within these walled gardens like a Roku or a Fire TV or anything like that, just to get your app ready so it can be ported over into prime time areas. Plus, the cool thing about these Android TV boxes is there are certain apps that I load that I need, like for instance, NDI, which is a video protocol that allows me to see this camera on the big screen. So I would load that app into this, and then I'd bring that over there so I can take a look at it. So these boxes are great for that type of stuff. You can also put in VPN in there. So if you are in areas where you need to connect up more securely, you can activate the VPN. They also have an app that lets you connect up to like the Google DNS or a different type of DNS that you'll be able to access and go through from there. The Dingbox D2 is $399. I'll have a link down in the show notes on how you can get one. Next up is we got a really cool headset from Logitech. This is the Lightspeed G522, which is a gaming headset that allows you to do a little bit more than gaming. It's got LED lights on it, of course, so you can control the mood, the look, and all that other good stuff. It's got a full band microphone. It's got advanced audio, tri-connect speed. You can do Lightspeed, Bluetooth, USB-A or USB-C. The LightSync RGB, so whatever color you want, you can set that up. It's perfect for your PC. It's your Nintendo Switch. There are 2 colors. There's black and then there's white. We've got the black here. It's got 60 hours of battery life within here. So if you're doing a lot of gaming, a lot of use, you're not recharging it every couple hours. Let's go ahead and open this up because I haven't opened this one up yet. And that does beg the question, do you like the unboxings or do you like the first looks, or how do you like that? Let me know in the comments below because I'm looking to change up how I do a lot of my reviews. You know, another cool thing about this is it uses Blue Voice, which was a company that I interviewed a long time ago called Blue Microphones. Logitech actually purchased Blue Microphones and incorporated a lot of that technology into their offerings of microphones and cameras. You might have remembered when I did the review of the Blue Ember, or we saw them at CES with the Bluebird, which was a very popular podcaster's microphone. That's what's in this headset right now. And as you see, I'm pulling this out of the box, and do you really need the RGB colors? This is nice and colorful with the purple band right here. Nice black. Of course, if you get it in white, it's going to be a little bit different. So that's the headset. Over here, we have the accessories. That includes a USB dongle. In some situations, you might need that to connect up, but it does, and that's where the Lightspeed comes in. But if you're using the Bluetooth or anything like that, then you'll be fine. And then in here, I got to figure out how this opens. There we go. In here, we have a standard USB A to C cable. We have the microphone right there. It is not attached. I'm not a big fan of the non-attached microphone versions. And then there's nothing on this side. So perfect. So we'll go ahead and set that down. Set that to the side. Here's the microphone. It's in a fabric-ish case, and it's got the ability to bend, as you can see. And of course, we got a TRRS connection right there, which will go into one of these sides. Let's just take a look here. So that's the left side. So that, as you can see, we have the microphone port right there. We'll go ahead and just plug that in. And now we have the microphone. I'm going to put this on my head really quick to hear how it sounds and see how I can adjust this microphone. So it looks like it's going to be pretty much like that. So when I'm gaming or whatever, if I'm listening to anything, I just pull that out. And I'm hearing about a 10 to 15 decibel decrease of the area. This is not noise canceling by any means. It sounds pretty decent, but we'll find out as we turn it on and check everything out. We have the power right here. So that turns it on. We do have power, as you can see, with the lights are the shining, and that's turning on. It's probably looking for a Bluetooth connection or anything like that. We have the Bluetooth connect button right here. We have a dial right here, and I don't think that's for the volume. I think that's actually for the microphone. We do have a microphone mute button right here, and actually pushes out. That's a toggle. You see it's red. That means that it's muted and it's pushed in. And of course you have the microphone. I think this is the volume actually. Now I'm looking at it. And then of course USB-C connection right there if you need it. I don't see a 3.5 millimeter. Well, besides connecting up to the microphone. So if you were on a plane trying to connect up to their infotainment system, then you probably would need to bring another set of headphones. But really comfortable ear pads, and I'm guessing they can be replaced pretty easy. We got a nice strap on the top. For a head like mine, it's perfect for that if I'm really working. And of course that RGB, which I'm guessing there's an app somewhere that's going to allow you to change those colors. Yeah, it is the Logitech G Hub that you want to download and install onto your mobile device. So you can change the colors and you can change how the microphone sounds through the app right here. Now it's scanning, looking for anything. I do have a Bluetooth button that I could press, but it is seeing the device. So I'm just going to hit that and it's going to connect up. There's a firmware update, which means I can't use this app right now. I have to hook this up to a PC to do the update, and then I'll be able to use the app with this. Okay, so I did get the firmware updated on this thing, and we are going through the PC so you can actually hear the microphone here. So I can actually change this if I want to change the EQ. I can do my input gain here. We can do a signal cleanup with a high pass or a low pass or anything like that. A little noise reduction if we wanted to. And I think this is in an automatic mode right now through Broadcaster 1. Let's switch to Broadcaster 2. And so we're going to see, you see the difference in the EQ for the broadcasters. We have the default, which is, I think we can make some changes. We also have FM station where you can talk like a DJ. How you doing? And then a night whisper. Oh yeah, it's the middle of the night. Yeah, we're whispering. And then of course the custom presets, which we can set that through the blue voice options here. So we could also turn that off. That is turned off right now. We'll turn that back on. I'll hit the plus button. They've got the new setup here. So now we can go into the EQ, and let's just say, I can't hear it, by the way. So let's just bump up the 5, and we'll bump up the 1.5 and a little bit of 400 here. We're going to bring these down so we don't have too many plosives. And then we're going to do signal cleanup, so we can do a high pass right here, up and down as we go. I think it's going as we go. Once again, I can't hear what's going on. We got a de-esser, we got a de-popper. So if I say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, it shouldn't pop as much as I go. Turned it off. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. We'll turn that back on. We got noise reduction, we got gating, and we got compression. It looks like it automatically saves. I don't see a save button here. And then, of course, if you want to test it, you just hit the mic record button and then the playback button, which, once again, I can't hear. So, anyway, that's the software. It's also headphone settings. We've also got the sampler settings. It's for, different types of situations, ambient sounds. And then, of course, the light sync for the headphones. As you can see, it's just going through a color change right now, but I can change the rate to faster and slower if I wanted to. As you can see here, we can change the brightness down to nothing. There you see that. And, of course, the saturation, if we just want black and white versus a full color. We got different options we can just point to, like this pulsar point. That is what the app does. I have it hooked up to the USB dongle, but you can definitely use USB cable straight into the computer to run it that way. This is the G522 gaming headset from Logitech. It's $159 and it's available. We'll have the link in the show notes. Last up is our friends from XVive. Now, I use XVive on all my music. I have the in-ear headphone system. It's a 2.4 gigahertz wireless system. So I have my earbuds into this body pack unit. The body pack unit then wirelessly goes to the other unit, which of course is connected up to the mixer. This is for a microphone, and this is actually 5.8 gigahertz of wireless. So, and I like this because 2.4 gigahertz is a pretty saturated wireless. If I'm in like a CES type situation, systems like this don't work too well because there's so much traffic that's going through. But of course, if we're in like my studio, there's usually a handful of things that are running wireless like that. So something like this will work perfect from here. We have the receiver and the transmitter, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually hook up this microphone to it. I don't think you can connect up anything with phantom power, but you can definitely hook up a dynamic microphone like a Shure SM58, or of course this right here, which is the Heil PR40. It's a dynamic microphone, doesn't need that phantom power. So we're going to open this up and we're going to show you what it is. It's very straightforward. Of course, you've got to charge the transmitter and the receiver for that, and then you'll be able to use it for whatever, and it turns any microphone that has XLR, like I said, that is like a dynamic microphone, non-phantom powered, into a wireless microphone. So we have the units right here. This goes into the microphone. This goes over to the mixer. Right here we have the USB. It's a USB A to C. These are C ports on here, but this is a dual plug, which means that it will charge both of these at the same time. So you just basically have to plug them in, and then it looks like we got a little felt case right here and some instructions. Now, keep in mind, like I said, it's more than just the microphone. They also have one for if you play guitar, you can have a wireless guitar or a cable. If you need in-ears, it's a very inexpensive in-ear system that you can use with this. And I've been using XVive for my in-ears for a few years now. In fact, I'm going to be playing a show tomorrow where I will be using the XVive headset. So let's pull this out. You see we got power, and then I'll show you a little bit on the unit here. What we have here, and this is really cool, you can use this as a microphone, but you can also use it as a line level, which means that if you get an adapter that goes from XLR to like stereo headset or something like that, it'll only do mono, but you could then bring it in through here and send it out. So you basically would switch for a microphone if you just basically have a handheld microphone. But if you're plugging it into something like a stereo system or something like that, you'd have to switch it over to line. Line actually reduces the amount of input that goes through here. Otherwise, it sounds distorted, and you don't want that. We have the power switch over here, which says power and mute, and I'm assuming mute is turned off. We turn that on. You're going to see a number 1 right here. Now, if I press that button, it's going to go to 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then back to 1. These are the 6 frequencies that you can use to connect, because sometimes when you're in certain situations, you'll have interference with something else. Once I power this on, this is at 1. If I power this on, this is at 1 as well. And of course, we got a green light that's telling me that I got power. I don't know how much power I got, but I do have power. And that means that I can actually use this as 1. So if I went to 2, you saw that green light go away? That means that it's not paired with anything. 3, 4, 5, 6, back to 1, and now we have that green light again. So that means we've got a pairing that shows us on the receiver, not on the transmitter, which would have been nice to see on the transmitter. Now what I'm going to do is I got this microphone right here, and it's going to work perfect for that. So I'm going to actually take off the XLR cable. I'm going to plug these in, and then you're going to hear it through what it would sound like here. It's now totally wireless, running through the XVive U35 system. One thing I always recommend is, especially with the in-ears, I've always had this problem, is you might want to get a very short XLR cable, adapter cable, because sometimes when you plug it into certain mixing consoles, the body is a little bit bigger, and so it's not about plugging it in. That's the problem. It's trying to get it unplugged. That's the problem. So if you have a small little adapter XLR in there, that way you won't run into that problem trying to get your fingers in. You might have to find a car key or something like that to push down the button so you can get that taken out again. And of course, the other thing about this is you want to have line of sight for a lot of these. Right now, we don't have line of sight, and I can't hear what's going on. It could be skipping because there's no line of sight between the transmitter and the receiver. You want to be aware of that, being able to put that in an area where they just see each other. It works a lot better. So as you can see, no cables here. In fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold this by hand, and I'm going to just talk like this, and you can kind of see what's going on. I got to watch out because otherwise you might hear some of the plosives or anything like that. But we're going to take this on a little journey. You won't see it, but what you'll do is I'll do this. We'll put this box right here. Now I'm going to take a small little stroll with my high LPR40 and this, and I'm going to go up. I don't know when it's going to cut out. It might be cutting out right now. So we're going to keep going until you can't hear me anymore. I'm basically going up all the way. And so 2 levels of drywall and wood and metal and all that other stuff. And I'm going upstairs again. We're getting up to the 2nd level. So something like this gives me ability to move around and have a conversation with you. I think we're still connected. I'm now upstairs. Might be a little bit out of breath. I think my vacuum on this level stopped working because I don't know where it is. But anyway, so now I'm coming back down. And the cool thing about this is I'm holding it. I have a shock mount on this, so you might not hear the noise from the side because the shock mount is helping with that. I'm in my living room now, and let's come back downstairs. And here we go. That is what's going on. And now we're back. And I can sit back down and I can have a conversation with you while holding the microphone if I want to. And it doesn't have to be this microphone. Most people use a Shure 758 or any handheld microphone like that. I use the high LPR40. Once again, we're using the 5.8 gigahertz wireless spectrum, which is not 5 gigahertz. So it's not a Wi-Fi signal. It's 5.8, which runs just slightly off of that, but it gives you more ability to move around without cutting in and out. And that's what I'm hoping that this is going to show you. So this is $229 for this unit. So if you're looking to do something in a wire-free environment, this is perfect for that. And like I said, they also have wireless guitar dongles, so you don't have to have a cable on your guitar, which is nice. And then they have the in-ear system. This is how it sounds, and there we go. So let me ask you this question. Which item did you like the best? What are you taking? What are you looking at to get in your home? We'll have all the links down below, and they are affiliate links. And of course, that helps me keep the lights on so I can review more products and tell you more about it and have, fun wireless conversations with a microphone that really always meant to be on a mic stand and cabled, of course. So let me know in the comments below over at Geekazine.com, youtube.com/Geekazine, where you can like, subscribe, and of course that bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. I'd like to thank all the companies that helped me out. I'd definitely like to thank Kingston. They saved my tuchus here. Until next time, thanks a lot for watching. You guys geek out, and let me know what products that you want me to take a look at before you go buy them, because I'll definitely talk to the companies and we'll get it in the studio and go from there. And of course, if you're with the company that wants to have me review something like this, let me know as well over at the contact page over at Geekazine.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.